Hey friend, welcome to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm your host, Jen Lovell. Listen, you and I have reached that age where we are done with the bullshit. We know that midlife is our chance to flip the script and experience life on our own terms. It's time to reconnect with our higher selves and reclaim our inner peace. Are you ready with an open heart and an open mind? Awesome, you're in the right place. Hop in and ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. Hey guys, welcome back to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm so happy you guys came back. You're not going to believe who we have with us today. We have with us the worm queen herself, Kim Rogers. So Kim, aka the worm queen, is the co-founder of Rogers Hood and the inventor of the viral ParaFy parasite cleanse. She has built a community of over 1 million supportive followers and a company with 30 plus employees, all while healing herself of multiple chronic illnesses using natural methods. We love that. On the front lines of a global medical awakening, Kim is passionately trailblazing a movement to help others become their own patient advocates and heal themselves. And you know, we love that here on Halfway to Dead podcast. We've talked a lot about healing ourselves and taking back control over our health. So listen, Kim and I talked for a while, and I'm going to split this guy into two parts. So part one, we go over Kim's story because not only does she have her health journey and her journey with these parasites and everything she went viral for, during this time, she also got to the point where she literally thought she was going to die, you guys. She was prepping to die. And then she ends up moving out kind of to the middle of nowhere, took herself out of society to try and heal. She had a big spiritual awakening. She had a Kundalini awakening, you guys. So we talk about her spiritual journey, her Kundalini awakening. We talk, just girl talk. We have a lot of girl talk. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We had a lot of laughs. And we talk about mushrooms. She does plant medicine. She does the shrooms. That was part of her spiritual awakening and healing process. Also, we talk about all that. So that's all going to be in part one. You're not going to have to wait for part two. Part two, I'm going to drop the same day. No need to make you guys wait because you're going to want to jump right in to the next episode and you're going to want to hear all about the parasite cleanse, her ParaFy cleanse. We're going to talk all things parasites. And if you think this episode's not for you, it is. If you don't think you have little parasites living in your body, I'm here to tell you do. No test needed. You do. So to find all about it, we talk a little bit in part one, but part two, we really dig in and talk all about these parasites, how we get them, how we get rid of them, all things. You're going to love it. And you're going to run out and buy this ParaFy kit pretty quick. I guarantee that. So anyway, let's jump in. Let's jump into part one and hear all about Kim's story and what started this whole revolution for her. Okay. Hey, Kim, thanks for being here. You have no idea how excited I am that Kim's here. We're in royalty. We have the worm queen. We have the worm queen today, you guys. And so I have 3 million questions for her, not just regarding parasites, you guys, but other things. I think where I want to start is Kim's journey. And I'm not just talking about her parasite journey. We're going to talk about that for sure too, you guys.
Yeah.
But she's also had during this whole thing, through health problems, everything going on, you've had a Kundalini awakening. You've had your own big spiritual awakening. And probably one of the catalysts behind this was your health, I'm assuming. And these damn worms.
Right.
Yeah. So were you raised spiritual?
Not really. My dad is agnostic, so he doesn't believe in anything. I think that's kind of changed a little bit. My mom had some religion. I think I did like a year of religion. I'm agnostic. I believe that there's something out there, and I definitely have seen it. I've definitely felt it. I definitely have connected with it. It's such a different vibe than if you would have talked to me 5 years ago about where my spiritual journey was. And I didn't even know what a Kundalini awakening was. I had no idea what I was going through. I actually started researching my Kundalini because I was getting off of my Klonopin after 22 years, which really suppresses any sort of like feelings that you get, that your intuition. And I
Mhm.
thought I was actually getting schizophrenia, which can happen in later onset of schizophrenia, because I would hear things and I would feel things and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Well,
With
now I know it's a
yeah.
combination of the parasites that I had literally living in my body, which is its own frequency and they have their own
Mhm, mhm.
feelings, as well as the fact that I had all of my chakras open up at once and it was very painful. It was not a really positive event for me when it all happened, but I didn't take it in a negative way, which I know when I talk about my Kundalini here and there, people get all freaked out because they're like, oh, it's like negative. But mine was very positive and a very spiritual
Mm.
awakening where I had a better understanding of my body because it had been masked so much. But it also allowed me to help others, because I don't really feel like when you're on this journey that you have the opportunity to really like help other people when you're so engulfed in your own journey.
No, we gotta help ourselves before we can help anybody
Yeah.
else, right? So, but wait, you saying you consider yourself agnostic, but you do believe in something because you know
Yeah,
it's there.
definitely. I am now. Like I believe, well, I believe that there's the universe and there's spirits,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I just don't have a label for them. Like I don't believe there should be called one word or another. I believe everyone's right. I don't believe anyone's wrong.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if someone's saying God, universe, spirit, whatever. It's all,
Yeah.
that's what I believe too. It's all the same thing.
It's
Like it's
agnostic. I
all,
meant to say atheist. My dad is atheist, and agnostic is where you believe in a higher being. Sorry, let me correct that.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I
So,
said that and I'm like, no, it's atheist. They all start with A's. So I agnostic believes in something. I believe that there's a superior being out there that created us. It's just not one label. But atheist is where you don't believe anything. And I don't even know if he's still that anymore, but that's kind of how we grew up, where we had like one. And I've always been really spiritual, whether I took to like understanding horoscopes or tarot. Like I've always had that. I've
yep.
always done mushrooms and I've always been open to everything. I don't believe that there's one thing. I believe there's so many things. And it's wild because I almost died. That's what started this whole journey. Is in 2019 my husband left his career and I left my career because I was circling the drain. And when I
Mhm.
say that, I know you don't do a lot of video, but this was me in 2020.
Yeah. You look
So that's how
like you're
sick I
miserable.
was.
You
And
look,
I
yeah.
was really, really ill. And so I needed to figure out what was wrong with me. And so my husband
Mhm.
left his career and I left my career. We went out to our recreational property, which is on the outskirts of the rainforest.
Okay.
And he grew mushrooms, functional as well as active mushrooms, to allow me to kind of open up my mind and kind of figure out what was wrong with me.
Okay. So are you off the
So
Klonopin at this point?
Uh, no, so I decided in 2020 to get off the Klonopin.
Okay, so you were
Yeah.
still on it when you made this move. Okay.
Yeah. So I was still on it, but the goal was to get me off of it. And then 2020 happened and I live in the state of Washington and 2020 for the state of Washington was totally different than everyone else. They like shut everything down, just like everyone else. But if you didn't get the 2020, you weren't allowed to go into restaurants. And so the fear
Oh, they were
was,
carding people?
yes, and the
Oh,
fear was that I would be getting off of my medication and not be able to go to the hospital.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Mhm.
So we started to slowly like get me off of the Klonopin by using Amanita and psychedelics to
Mhm.
allow me to kind of bridge over in a different way. And this is not medical advice. Literally, I've researched it. I come from Western medicine. So I already knew what could happen to me, when I was getting off of it.
Yeah,
And so I was willing to do anything because I knew that if anything happened to me, I wouldn't be able to go to the hospital because I wasn't conforming to their beliefs of
right.
what
Yep.
Washington wanted.
Yeah, things got crazy in 2020, 2021-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying
Mhm.
to get off of big pharma, and so in the process, I pushed myself to have a Kundalini because I took so many mushrooms every day.
Okay, so had you done mushrooms before all of this? Before you moved out there?
Mm,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I've
You had.
always been
Okay.
like an herbal plant medicine type of person, but not to the extent I was taking them every day.
Okay. So for my listeners out there, because we're a bunch of middle agers, we were, and for everyone out there who's never done the old shrooms, listen, when you say you are taking shrooms, so they're just little dried, you're eating them. What's the process? Just tell my listeners so that we're all on the same page. All
Okay,
right.
well, I do have some really great people that are in my profile and the link that through this journey I've trust them because I did have to start
Okay.
growing my own. So if you do want to do anything like microdose or go on a journey, I do have
Mhm.
trusted sources that I have vetted myself and I've been to their facilities or I have met them personally or I
Okay.
take them personally in my profile. Just so you know because
Okay.
everyone that listens to this is going to be like, "Where can I get them?"
Well,
Like you got to give them the solution.
yep. I'd enjoy a
Oh,
trip like that. Yeah.
so
Okay.
good.
So trusted source, you guys, on the
Yeah,
shrooms.
trusted
And
source.
then are you eating them?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
would dehydrate them, put them in capsules, and then I would measure the amount I would take on a daily through a capsule,
Mhm.
because that's really I'm not a big fan of the way they taste. I went to Amsterdam once and I ate a bunch with like French fries because that was the only way to cover up the taste because they're so hard to taste. They're really not a
So you
yummy
just put them
taste.
in
Yeah.
capsules and take them, and you know how much is in
Yeah.
each capsule that way too,
Right.
because it's like a microdosing thing, right? You don't just
Yeah.
wanna eat a bag full your first time.
But I was doing more than microdosing. I was doing quite a few journeys to the point where I was like, how can I control my mind? Because, trauma also contributes to chronic illness as well. And so I had a lot of trauma, medical trauma, because I had a botched hysterectomy. So
Mhm.
I had 13 surgeries. So I've had a lot of medical trauma on my own. And so I was like working through the trauma. My body was getting invaded. Now I know by parasites, mold, Lyme, candida, heavy metals, like all the things I talk about. Yeah.
So part of your spiritual journey is trips with the mushrooms.
Yeah. And then learning Amanita, which she's not a psychedelic.
Tell me what Amanita is. What the heck's Amanita?
So Amanita muscaria is, everybody's familiar with it because of Super Mario Brothers. It's the iconic
A
mushroom.
shroom. You got a bunch sitting
Yeah.
behind you. Yeah, with
Yeah.
the red tops and the white dots and the yeah,
Yeah, but
okay.
she's not psychedelic. Like, she won't make you go on a journey. You won't see anything with her. She'll calm your nervous system. And
Ooh,
she is
okay.
the same DNA structure as Klonopin. And they just changed one molecule when they made Klonopin from
Big Pharma did
Amanita.
that. Okay, Big
Yes.
Pharma did that because they have to change something to be able to get a patent on it and charge
Mm.
us $3 million. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Versus like, let's just grow some and take it. Okay. So tell everyone listening, because she has, like you said, a background in healthcare. Like, you know a
Mhm.
lot of shit. You know what you're talking about. She's not just like some psychedelic hippie here to tell us about the shrooms.
Right.
No, you have a full background. So tell us briefly, like, what your medical background is.
So I've worked in Western medicine since 2004. I hold two
Mhm.
healthcare degrees. One of them is a associates in medical specialties, and I was a licensed medical specialist. I worked in endocrine and neurology, and my second degree was in healthcare management. I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I was a professor at night. I graduated thousands of students that had progressed over to being doctors as well. And I
Mhm.
used to write curriculum for DeVry and Carrington. And then I wrote medical books for Cengage, Pearson, and McGraw Hill. I served on advisory boards as well as wrote national certifications from medical assisting to pharmacy to laboratory, medical billing and coding. I helped with the electronic
Yeah.
medical records transition over in 2009 to 2010. And I've just loved medicine. And
You were in it. Yeah. Yeah. You love the science of it. You do the deep dives on the science end of it.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So she knows what she's talking about, you guys. When she's telling us some of these things, she's researched it. She knows what's going on here. So you're on this spiritual journey and you're
hmm
doing the shrooms and you're out in the woods. And what else is going on? Like, what did you start to do? We say doing the work. We do the work. We got to do the
Yeah.
shadow work. Part of this Kundalini awakening is usually you've hit, your dark night of the soul or whatever everybody
Yeah.
wants to call it. So what kind of stuff was contributing to your need to do that, to get in there?
Well, I was in a no contact with my family for over 7 years, and I
Mhm.
needed to figure out, like, how to bridge that, but it wasn't something that, like, I could just do without doing the shadow work.
Yep.
And I knew that the Klonopin was contributing to me not, being able to stay in touch with myself, so I would just rely on that instead of working through the trauma.
Mhm.
I tried EMDR, like, I tried all of the talk therapies and all of that, and none
Yes.
of it really worked for me, and
Mhm.
so I needed to figure out why, and I just had to remove myself from society in order to do that, and I knew that my property was healing and that if I did die, I could rest comfortably knowing that we were mortgage and debt free, so that's why my so that I could have my husband be my caretaker. Like, I had to get all of it in order, then I had to work on myself, but I had to remove myself from society in order for me to be able to work on myself. It wasn't something
Yep.
I could just do because of my personality. Like,
Mhm.
when I go in all the way, you know? And so I needed to do that for myself.
And you had tried a lot of the traditional therapies and everything else.
Yeah.
And when you say you were trying to set your husband up for you being gone, you fully intended you would die. Your health had gotten to the point where you had tried all, like you said, you had 10 surgeries.
13.
You had 13
13
surgeries
surgeries and a hysterectomy,
that were all related to endometriosis, right? Is that
endometriosis,
what?
and
Okay.
adenomyosis. Yeah.
Yes. And so this was just taking over your body. Like you were at the point you really thought, I'm probably not going to make it. I've tried everything. And so I'm going to at least get my husband set up
Mhm.
out at our property. So you guys are out there, you're doing the work. And then was there a turning point? Was there a moment like you had the Kundalini awakening? And was that just, you said it was all of a sudden. You just felt it. Were you out
Mhm.
meditating? Were you out in the woods meditating?
Yeah, so I used to
Were you on the
meditate
shrooms
16
at the
hours
time?
a day. Yes, and, it was on January 3rd. Like, I know what day it was, I know when it
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. You're not going to
January
forget
3rd of
that.
21. Yep, that's when I had my full-blown Kundalini awakening, but it also caused me to have some, like, mini strokes because I was also getting off of the Klonopin and I got off too fast. So there were so many
Mm.
layers that were going on, but I remember the date, I remember what was going on, and I remember how after I felt thinking, "Oh my god, like, what have I done to myself?" Right?
And so everything changed that day. So, like, what's
Yeah.
the biggest thing that changed when you say everything changed? Like the next day, January 4th, what was different?
For a few months, I had to have, my husband and his, mom came in and helped me because I did have a clinical mini stroke. And so I had to kind of relearn how to eat because I couldn't hold anything. He had to help me get in and out of the shower, go to the
Mhm.
bathroom, like all of the things. I didn't have a stroke where it was on my face, but I lost memories and all of that played into a part, and I would have been in a lot worse shape, had a full stroke if I hadn't done mushrooms and if I hadn't protected my brain so heavily with lion's mane and amanita and psilocybin because all of those help protect the brain and heal the brain instead of just band-aid the brain. So I do pay
So
homage
you
to
had a
them
layer of
so much.
protection there.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
and you guys gotta remember, I do not know any of this from my Western medicine classical training. I
No.
literally got downloads from all of the meditation that I was doing prior to all of this happening. I was out meditating. I found energy vortexes on my property. I literally had no idea any of this, but when I needed it, source would give it to me, and I was
Mhm.
able to pull that from the universe and it was telling me things like cleanse. And I would go, what do you mean cleanse? Like cabbage cleanse? Because like my mom would do cabbage cleanse soup. Like we would
Well,
do
right
these
back in the day,
cleanses. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
A juice,
yeah.
a
And so I'm
three-way
like,
juice
oh,
cleanse? Like, what are we saying?
totally.
Yeah.
I'm all, why is the word cleanse? And then I started to dig in. I started to, okay, so I've went too fast off my Klonopin. I hear you, like, but now I'm off of it. And am I going to have side effects from it? Absolutely. I am struggling, and not
Mhm.
anymore, but I was. And now it's like, but why am I not at the optimal level? Like, why do I still feel so crummy? Why is my face and when I say that my skin is what triggered this to a whole nother level, you see my skin. I have beautiful skin. I've always had beautiful skin, not for a while there. And so
Yeah.
nothing I was doing was working for my skin. And so I started to ask, what else is going on here? Like something else is going on. I wasn't losing weight. I still wasn't functioning at a level I should have been. And
Mhm.
yeah, Klonopin will stay and damage your DNA for quite a while. And I knew that, but there was still something that was just like,
You just knew something was off. And you were meditating and getting the word cleanse, cleanse, cleanse.
mm-hmm.
Did they show you
Yep.
any worms while you were out there yet, or no? Was it just cleanse, cleanse, cleanse?
Actually, yes, it was quite strange. Worms would appear in places that, like in my food. And then my husband did a video of our build and a worm crawled down the front of my phone. So there was like a worm in this video,
Just weird worms showing up.
just weird
Yeah.
worms. But I never
Uh-huh.
really thought, oh, that's it, right? And so around May, so this was around January, February, March, I really was recouping from completely getting off the Klonopin. And then someone on TikTok can read your mind. It's the wildest thing. So I was scrolling. I scroll with a purpose and I was scrolling and this chick came up on my feed and she said, I almost unalived myself over worms. And I remember I paused. So three things happened. All of a sudden, all of this mental trauma that I had had, multiple things popped in my mind. Oh, that's what they mean by cleanse.
Mhm.
Oh, in 2016, when I was looking into some CIA documents, I came across a document that was posted and declassed in 2011, and I found it in 2016, talked about worms and
Mhm.
how endotumors are the same. And then I remember thinking I had pinworms. I was going in for my female time, looking at,
Mhm.
my pap, and I thought that I had parasites. And my doctor said, no, that's not right. You don't, but come back this thing in your area looks a little funny. We want to biopsy it. I came back a few days later and it was gone. So I've had these things telling me
Mhm.
before that this could be something that could be in your body. And I always just buried my head in the sand because I am classically trained. This is crazy. This is out of this world. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I
Yeah,
do, because I've been telling people so I've been telling people about this parasite thing, and the looks like it, people just cringe
totally.
because I don't think we wanna talk about it.
Not in this
No, we
country.
don't wanna think that's in our bodies, and you're like, I mean, it makes total sense, but no, we
Yeah,
don't wanna hear about it, and so people look yeah, they do look at you like, "Okay, wow, you really got over the edge this time, Jen," but
totally.
I'm like, "No, listen."
No, it's a thing.
No.
Other countries know this is a thing. We're just in a bubble of indoctrination. Mexico, if you think you have a parasite, you can go to the pharmacy at $7. They'll give you anti-parasitic and instructions, by the way.
Yeah, and we
Jamaica
had to fight
uses
to get anything from a doctor
totally,
here.
totally.
They're like, "You
It's
don't have it."
ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is why I created the system I created. One, because they can't come after me when I'm talking about my own personal experience, which is this. This is my
Yes.
own personal experience. I have
Yeah.
literally documented every day of my life since July of 21 when I first did my own parasite cleanse on camera on TikTok and Instagram. And
Mhm.
so you can see the transformation in my body, in my face, in my mind. And I started a business because all I'm doing is soaking herbs and creating a tincture like our ancestors did because everyone knows that parasites are a real thing. We just don't know it.
Yeah, or we don't wanna admit it. And we certainly are the type of people here in the US where we're like, "Yeah, other people have that, not us. We're better
Right.
than everybody, aren't we? Aren't we, Kim? Aren't
Yeah.
we better?" No, we're not, you guys.
No.
You're
In fact, I
definitely
think that
the
we're a
worst.
way dirtier country than our water's terrible. That's where my parasites got worse. So I've tested 75% of the country's water here, and they've all tested positive for nematodes. Nematodes are physical worms like roundworm, flatworm, tapeworm, pinworms. Then
And
there's
this is like
parasites.
city water. Like, this is
Yeah,
like
our city water. I live in
not the
Seattle,
well.
but
Mhm.
in Seattle's tested positive for nematodes. And then I also have a home in Hoodsport, which is where this all started. And it also tested positive for nematodes. And then there's been wells test positive. I mean, that's a pretty standard thing if you have a well. Everyone's like, oh, I have a well. Well, when I worked in the ER, if you came in with abdominal pain time 10 days, the first thing I would ask you is, do you have a well? Because everyone knows a parasite's in a well.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That makes total sense. And
Yeah.
okay. So what's your husband doing during this whole time? Is he just out growing his mushrooms, having a good time, or what's he do from
Yeah.
day to
Well,
day?
not
Okay.
not really. He said it was really stressful because he knew these mushrooms were gonna save my life, so it was like and growing mushrooms is a whole
Oh,
'nother world. We've never done it. They're so hard. And we live in a moldy environment. Now I know I had mold poisoning. We could never get mushrooms to
mhm,
grow in our travel trailer because it has mold in it. And so he took 6 months off from our build. So on March 13th, we had our foundation done and then we had the logs put on our foundation, just the logs, not the building,
mhm,
just the
mhm.
shell. And then they sat for 2 years because we fought for my life for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, you were all in. You're
We
not
were
gonna worry
all
about
in.
your log cabin when you're dying. Yeah, no. And
Right.
so, okay, so he played a big part in this.
Huge. He
I
is
think
why I'm
I think
here. My
he
husband's
kinda
why I'm
saved
here.
he kinda saved your life with these mushrooms. Yep.
He did.
Okay.
He 100% saved my life with the mushrooms, and especially because at the time, I wasn't just gonna go buy some random mushrooms in a DM on Instagram, which, you can, but, like, I didn't wanna do that. I looked at, like, ayahuasca because if you can work your trauma out, you can get to the root of things, and so I wanted to do that, but I also had seen how plant medicine just from all my research, how plant medicine can save your brain when you are pivoting from the Western medicine cult. And so that's what I was doing. And so I was like,
Mhm.
all right, well, and I hadn't pooped in a month and I knew that psilocybin can make you go poop. So I was like, listen, if anything, I just go
After
poop
30 days, oh god, Kim,
30
after
days,
30
man.
days, you're gonna do anything.
Oh yeah, it was so I mean, I would have like a pebble. So it wasn't like but it was so bad. And I reached out to my doctors in September of 2020 and I said like I haven't pooped in a month. I'm not sure what to do. And she goes, "Try some psyllium husk." And I'm all, "Yo, you're you really
You don't
are
think I've
just
tried
telling me to
that?
try psyllium husk? Like that's it? Like this is all you got for me?" So
Yeah.
basically I'm on my own.
Mhm, mhm.
And then in January, my insurance switched, so my doctors could not speak with me anymore about getting off the Klonopin. I was 3 months into a year of trying to get myself off the Klonopin, and they all abandoned me. So, of course, my
'Cause they didn't
husband's
wanna be
like,
liable. They didn't
"Yeah,
wanna be
yeah,
liable. Mhm.
yep." And so instead of being human, they were like, "Oh, we don't" even though I was so my husband stepped in and he's like, "Oh my god, what do we do?" And I'm like, "I mean, we're just on our own. We're just on our that's
Mhm.
where we're at. We're just on our own right now."
Yeah, because there's not a ton of holistic practitioners that wanna touch the whole Klonopin thing.
Not now, or not then, but more
Not then.
now. I
Now they oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
now
Things
it's
are coming around
like
now.
between worms and mushrooms, I feel like and I say this with my love because I feel like I pushed a medical awakening for not just people, but practitioners. I talk about this for the last 4 years every day. I've done this every day since July of 2021. Every day. I've not missed a day talking about parasites. I'm on social media every day. I've done like
You're all over the
6,000
place.
videos. Yeah,
I
because it's so
know.
important. This is
It
so
is
important for people.
no, it is. No,
Mhm.
okay. So let's wrap up this spiritual journey. Where are you at in your
Yeah.
spiritual journey right now? Where are we at? Because 'Cause you're
Um,
feeling better.
yeah.
You've got a booming business now. Everything's going on. So where are you at with your spiritual journey right now?
So right now I do journeys once a month.
Okay.
Yeah. I do them once a month. I've found a really great group of friends that we get together once a month and we'll like help each other and we'll integrate each other because that was a big part of my journey after doing a lot of mushrooms is I wasn't integrated back into society. It's kind of a like I was kind of out there for a while and I found a really
Mhm.
great group of people to help Denver Mycology is my guy, and he helped integrate me back into society because it's a lot when you're out on this journey and you stay out there. Like people lose their minds,
Yeah,
and
because you
especially,
disconnected. You
yeah,
disconnected from the real to heal yourself and to go on this
yes,
journey. So, you guys out there, we don't all have to go that hardcore,
no,
but this just got thrust upon you, honestly,
yes,
between your health issues and everything going on. Like that was your rock bottom. You had to get going on some stuff. But we can all start doing the work in our own way now, whether that
hmm
involves any kind of plant medicine or not. We can do the work. Okay. So
And
that's where you're at
ParaFy, which
now.
is my cleanse, that will
Yeah.
help you do this work because it will release some of the environmental toxins that are overloading our bodies, that are keeping you from digging in and finding out really what's going on with you and trusting your instinct and trusting your gut. They remove that self-worth from us. They
Mhm.
take your high frequency and they bring it to a lower frequency so they can survive. It is another frequency living inside of your body, which your body is frequency. And the way I describe this the best is that, like when an opera singer sings and she
Mhm.
shatters the glass, her voice hit that frequency. So when you bring
Yeah.
in herbs and you bring in things like mushroom, you're matching that ailment frequency, shattering it. And because I've gone through this experience of my own, I was able to bring in each one of these herbs have a purpose. Each one of the herbs will help you heal in a way that you never even knew you needed to heal, and also
Yeah.
avoiding further problems because I had viruses that were attached inside of a parasite, and it's a scientific thing that the parasites can hold 6 to 8 times their weight in viruses, heavy metals, and spores. And so when
Mhm.
you're removing them, they're also dropping all of that into your body, then creating those viruses that you may never have had issues with in life. And so you have to match those with a frequency of an herb. And that's what I've done. And then it allows you to dig even deeper into how you spiritually want to feel yourself and your intuition and trusting yourself, because they remove that from you so that you lay low, so that you don't remove them. They are very smart and they've been around longer than us and they'll be around longer than us. It's
Oh,
just
they'll
a
outlive
fact.
us. Heck yeah.
They will.
Yes.
All of the mushrooms and the Kundalini awakening helped me get here. Just so you guys know, that's how it all ties in. This is how my spiritual journey ties into this. This is not
Because
something that you learn in any books.
you channeled a bunch of this is what you're
I did.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, God's source, whatever you got, was coming through like, we got to get this information out there.
Yeah.
Like,
Whatever
right?
information came down. And I'm talking like there were days that I was very black and white, you guys. Very like,
Very scientific. Yeah.
yeah, very science. I know I always did herbs and like I've always been a
Mhm.
plant medicine lover and I've always been alternative, but to a point where it's like black and white, your body. And how is that possible? Like I need proof for everything. And one day I was like, listen, I'm going to do a bunch of mushrooms and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to meditate. And if this is all true, like if this is all true, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to put my headphones on. My husband was working up on our 26-foot carport that we
Okay.
were living under. And I was like, if this is all the truth, I need a sign. I need something. Like, come on. I'm not going to go and do any of this without a sign. I want some birds to fly around me. Like, I literally want a swarm of birds to fly around me. Like, doesn't have to be very long. I just want it.
Spring them.
And
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, my eyes are closed, my headphones are on, I'm listening to the music. I open my eyes, there's like one bird right there. I'm like, yeah, that's not good enough. I close my eyes and guess what? I felt it. A swarm of birds went around
Oh
me.
my God. I believe it. Yeah. And you knew, all right, I got to do this.
Yeah. And then after that, I'm like, that's it. I know what I'm being told. I know this is the truth. I know
Yeah.
we need to cleanse. And now I got to figure out what we're cleansing.
Yeah. Now I got to figure out what the hell I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
that, well, they channeled it to the right person because you already had the damn knowledge
Hmm.
to make this happen. Right.
Yeah.
If they told me that, I'd be, I don't know what you people are saying. No, no, that's not my part. But, okay. So in
Yep.
your sleep, do you use the shrooms when you go to bed or no?
Nope. I just I lay down and I'll actually look at my husband and go, "I'll see you in a few minutes," because I just go to sleep and I wake
You're
right up and
oh, oh, you
yeah.
lucky duck. Does
Yeah.
marijuana play into this? How do parasites feel about marijuana?
I mean,
Do you know?
they it's fine. Like
They
we
don't care.
smoke and yeah, they don't it doesn't really plant medicine has never really like disrupted that in life. And I've done all
No.
plant medicines. So except for ayahuasca. I've never done ayahuasca. I was gonna do ayahuasca and then my husband and I decided to do amanita and grow psilocybin. So
And so that's what you're doing. Are you gonna
mhm.
start some products someday with the old psilocybin? and some
Probably
like
not.
chocolate bars or something. I don't know. I've seen stuff
I've got
advertised
so many
online.
friends. Oh, go up into my profile. Denver Mycology is my favorite. He is
Denver
great. I love them
Mycology.
all,
Okay.
but I've got Microdose, and then I have Mila, and all of them are my friends that I chat with often. I know how
Yeah,
they
I'm gonna look at
make
that
all their
because
stuff.
I'm
Mhm.
interested in that myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
No, I
fun.
would love to know that. I get
Yeah,
kind of scared about the whole ayahuasca journey thing because you hear story like, I don't
same.
you're vomiting, you're shitting, I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
it
the
just
kind of
doesn't
trip I'm looking
anybody that's
for.
fine. I'm just not. I
I just
think for
wanna
me,
just open my brain and chill and have a
yeah.
good time and learn some
Totally,
things.
totally. That's what
Yeah.
I did that for a while. I just wanna keep doing that. I don't everyone's like, "Oh, she'll call you," and I'll be honest, like, she just doesn't call me, and I'm sorry. If you've done ayahuasca and you've learned from it, that's great. I'm so loving
Yeah.
your journey, and there's no judgment here. I just don't know if I can hold the space to, like, be around people that are upset and crying and throwing up and me be okay with it. I take everything on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I haven't felt called to, like, fully do that either.
Sick.
But I actually bought some candy bar. It says it's MYND mind or something like that. I don't know. But and it says it has microdosing of
Uh-huh.
psilocybin, like shrooms or whatever. Haven't done it yet. Have you heard of, let me ask you, you know a lot about all this plants. Have you heard about mad honey?
Mhm.
What's the deal with the mad honey?
It
I
just is supposed to open up your brain.
listen because the bees are feeding off some like special plant up in the middle of wherever. So
Like the
anyway,
Himalayas or something like that. Joe Rogan
somewhere,
talks
but I
about
don't
it.
know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was scrolling one night and probably had already taken my gummy for bedtime and I ordered some. I own some mad fucking honey and I've been too scared to do a thing with it. I have mad honey and I don't know what the hell to do with it. I'm like, do I do it? How much do I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I don't even know if it was a legit enough site I don't know, but I saw the mad honey. No, I'm interested in all natural things that kind of give us like an opening, a fun
Yeah.
experience or whatever. But I'm still a little bit nervous about it. So I have so I'm going to be clicking on your links of your trusted
Okay.
people to
My
see
trusted
like
peeps.
who your trusted peeps because that's what I need. I need trusted people. That's what we all need out there. Okay, guys, we're going to stop right there for part 1 of this episode. But make sure you hop right into part 2 because we're going to go deep into this parasite thing and talk a lot about the ParaFy cleanse. Okay, see you on the next episode. Listen, I know your time is valuable. And right now, I'm feeling super grateful and totally humbled that you chose to hang out with me today. If this podcast resonates with you, could you do me a solid and hit that subscribe or follow button? That's going to help you out because you're never going to miss an episode. And it helps me out because you're never going to miss an episode. And if you have like 30 seconds more, could you leave a 5-star rating and maybe leave a kick-ass review? Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue our journey on the next episode. Oh, and I can't forget the fine print. You know, the legal jargon. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We're just 2 friends on this journey together, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional. You get it. See you next time.